Hey guys, it is Anthony. It is Saturday, May 5th, 2018. And in today's video, I take this from Modern Survival Online. This is John Rourke posts these. This is a very good survival website slash blog to belong to. And we're going to look at today the question of what to do with $1,000 right now. So if you had $1,000 right now in this crazy times that we're living, how would you spend it, or what would you do with it if you were going to put the money into prepping items, or to be ready for a rainy day, or to be ready for an SHTF, or an economic collapse, or whatever comes our way, natural disaster, a loss of a job, something to keep you going for a short period of time, things to fall back on, and those items are essentials that you'll see here. So he goes to say that he saw something similar to this in another blog post called ifithitsthefan.com, where it spoke of a similar topic, if you could spend $900. So he just rounded it up to $1,000. Okay, so here he goes, adding his items here. And the first up is food. So out of $1,000, he says, here are my recommendations. He says, $350 for food. This has to be a priority, he says, and I agree with him. Food is extremely important. Without it, you're not going to get very far. You're not going to do very much. If you miss 3 to 9 meals, you're going to be in a world of hurt. So he talks about how to go about planning a meal plan for a 2-week period, and then doubling it and going out and buying those supplies frugally. You're not going to be going to Whole Food or really high-end stores for this stuff. Remember, calories are calories in this type of situation. And although you want to store what you eat, with food, you just have to, you want to make the most of it and make it go the longest. So $350, purchase items smartly. And don't forget, he says here, things like spices and condiments and cooking oils to help with the process of cooking stuff. Look at shelf life on the packages. Look at store brands rather than high-end brands. Next up, he allocates $50 for water. And he goes by saying, by the basics, gallons of drinking water can be bought for $1 or even less, 69 cents, 50 cents, depending on where you're going for a gallon. A couple cases of water might be smart to get. You could find them on sale sometimes for $3 for a case of 24. I would add to this, rather than buying water, although I do think you should have a case or two on hand, or some bottles or gallons, or even those 2.5-gallon jugs, a few of them. If you know something's coming, you can get your water from the tap for free. Fill up containers that are around your house, save empty soda bottles or Gatorade bottles, and just fill those up, date them, cap them off, and put them on the shelf. That's bottled water. That's fresh water. That's actually going to stay longer because it's treated with chlorine from the tap. So it's going to stay a lot longer, the shelf life is, than bottled water that you buy in the store. So I would divert some of that $50, instead of buying water, fill up bottles on your own, and then take the $50 and buy yourself, a couple of good filters, like a Life Straw, or a what's the other one? I can't think of it right now. But the one similar to the Life Straw, for $19, Berkey makes a water bottle for about $20, $25. That's renewable. You could put dirty water in it and filter it out, several hundred liters of it. So it might be good to have something along those lines along with your water preps, or even water tablets that purify water. You know, the Katadyn tablets that you put in. One tablet purifies a liter of water. So think hard about water. It's super important. And I posted some videos along those lines from my Lifesaver investments into the Lifesaver products. And you'll see that when you look at my channel. Water to me is one of the most important preps. In fact, I might divert some of the food money into more water money so I could get some better filtration systems. So that's water. Now he goes to the next topic, light. So he talks about LED flashlights, buy a bunch of candles. Again, you can get candles in the dollar store, lantern style flashlights, wind up flashlights. I like to get things that don't require batteries, like a wind up flashlight that you could just wind up and it runs for several minutes. That way you're not going crazy buying batteries, and you could divert some money and move some of it around. But light is very important. Even the Chem Light sticks, you know, they were like $1 each. You know, I would buy several of those as well to light up an area. Next up, he goes $40 for medical first aid. Okay, you've got to really think long and hard about this. You want to get a good all-around first aid kit. That could be purchased, like he says here, for 10 or 20 bucks. And then Band-Aids, burn ointment, diarrhea medicine. I can't stress enough about medical first aid, and along with that, proper hygiene, like you know, rubbing alcohol, peroxide, tincture of iodine, stuff like that, to clean a wound. Along with the clean water you stored, you may have to use that to help in your first aid slash hygiene. Miscellaneous household supplies, and he does allocate some money there for hygiene. And again, things like laundry detergent, bleach would be a really high product on my list. Or even I would say go to your local pool supply store and get your 70% chlorine, powdered chlorine, 70% or higher. That way you can make your own water purification system with that powdered chlorine. And so that's very important. He doesn't mention it here, but I would you know, buy a couple packs of that at my pool supply and then go online, and I even have a video on it, how to use that to purify water. Because again, water is super important, guys. So along with that, again, hand sanitizer, shampoo, deodorant. It's not mentioned here, but it's kind of in the miscellaneous column. Toilet paper. You're going to need a lot of toilet paper. So make sure you have a good stock of toilet paper and you're able to keep it dry, along with maybe some towels, paper towels, things along those lines. Okay, next up. $200 for self-defense. Now, if you already have a pistol or a rifle, I would use the $200 maybe to add ammunition, maybe a gun cleaning kit, you know, high-quality gun cleaning kit, maybe some spare parts. If you don't have any self-defense under this topic, you got to use that $200 very wisely. Maybe one of them Henry you know, survival scout rifles that break down in two, and that, you know, the barrel goes into the buttstock and it floats. I think you can get one of those for under $200 if you shop around. That's in .22 long rifle caliber, and then get yourself a nice brick of ammunition for it. Again, self-defense. Although people talk about a .22 not being able to be used for self-defense, I don't think a person coming at you is going to start yelling at you and saying, ha ha, you know, don't shoot me, you're shooting me with a .22, those bullets can't kill me. Well-placed shot in the eye socket, the side of the head, the neck, soft tissue areas is going to drop your assailant. Even with a .22, just talk to people that really know how to shoot and that know what a .22 bullet can do. They do work, my friends. So also along those lines, he's got a picture here of the Maverick Model 88 shotgun. It shows it here, $177 at Walmart. That would be another good purchase for under 200 bucks, along with some shells. Again, a 12 gauge or a 20 gauge shotgun. You definitely want self-defense. If you're, like I said, if you already have a weapon, a firearm, make sure you got a fixed blade knife, a folding knife, maybe a multi-tool, a hatchet, an axe, something like that, or a good tactical shovel like the Cold Steel survival shovel. It's got a blade built into it. Think along self-defense lines, okay? And that, so you got $200 for that area. Next up, alternative power. He has $50 set aside. Again, things like batteries. I do have regular alkaline batteries, and I do think it's important to have some on hand, but most of my batteries are of the rechargeable type. So for 15 or 25 bucks, you can get a VC2 or a VC4 charger, battery charger by X-Star, and then buy some rechargeable AA and AAA batteries and maybe some D batteries. AA and AAA are your most widely used. And so that's renewable. As long as you have the ability to run that charger, you could get a car charger adapter for it. I think it might even come with it, and plug that into your car and recharge those batteries time and time again, therefore saving money. So divert some of that money into renewable alternative power, and you'll be really good to go with rechargeable batteries and a charger. Fuel, he talks about buying the price of gas right now. I think it's good to have at the very least, 10 gallons of gas on hand. And if you could afford more to store more, go right ahead. But he's got $50 towards fuel, and that could be gas / propane canisters or fuel, isobutane fuel canisters to run a stove, to cook with or heat water with. Use that fuel money wisely, okay? Don't just think about putting it all in your car. Think about other things that could run on fuel, like a stove. And also a heater, which he mentions down below. We'll cover that. Knowledge, again, read, categorize things, print stuff out, make yourself a binder. I've got a binder. I need to update it with personal information in it, prepping information, hard copies of how to purify water using the chlorine, the Pool Shock chlorine, things of that nature. So have some hard copies printed out. Methods of heating. If you live in a colder climate, you want to be able to methods of heating. So depending on where you live, you want to stock up on maybe some good wool blankets or wool blend blankets, maybe some extra clothing, some gloves, definitely some gloves and some caps, watch caps, knit hats, maybe a face protector. And then also with that $150, you could divert some of that money, buy yourself a Mr. Buddy heater with the fuel, a couple of fuel canisters, and that thing can keep, a room size area warm during a really bad time. And that Mr. Buddy heater is under $100. So definitely think about that in regards to heating. And he says, well, that's it. That's $1,000. So you can see how fast you can go through $1,000. And then going back up, I'll include this link in the description box. But with food, you've got the biggest bite or the biggest chunk, and I would tend to agree with that. But you guys weigh in, chime in with your comments, because I think it's important. You've got to start thinking about these things. If you do have money to spare, again, all my spare money, I don't keep a lot of paper money in the bank. Again, just enough to do certain things, pay bills, things like that. I try to turn my monthly reserves, or extra money, if you will, or mad money, some people call it. And again, look at my videos. I turn my money into gear, into food, into EDC items, into water prep items, clothing, whatever has to do with prepping. And then also covered in that is investments in hard currencies like gold and silver, things along those lines. Those are important to think about as well. And guys who have been watching my channel know that I do advocate investing in that as well. And I'll do this in cycles. I may go several cycles of buying EDC gear or food items, food and water items. Then I'll revolve it into firearms and ammunition and gun cleaning kits and knives. And then I'll rotate it into silver and gold. And then I'll rotate it into something else. I'll rotate it into investments for my van, enhancements for the van, being able to live outside of my home base shelter, being able to, if I was on the run or was bugging out, I could still shelter in place in my vehicle or with attachments that go with it. And so cycle your prepping is very important. So if you got $1,000, guys, this is, let us know how you would spend it if you agree with this, or how you would break up the 1,000, and maybe some of the things I didn't mention, maybe you're going to mention in the comments. It's important to do this, and it gets us all thinking. Check out this blog, Modern Survival Online, and subscribe to it if you haven't already. Thanks, and stay ready, guys. Take care.